Call the meeting to order, the October 7th regular meeting of the Simsbury Zoning Commission. We have 5 regulars and 1 missing. Mike's missing. Okay, so Gavin, serve for Mike Doyle, please. And the other 2 alternates have said they're not able to come, so
Yeah.
that's it.
Usually it's hard to.
The next order of business is an agenda addition. Wait a minute, I'm reading the minutes list.
Wrong meeting.
Back up. Okay, we have the minutes of the October 7th regular meeting to consider. Anybody have any modifications or adjustments to that set of minutes?
Only that I think we can start removing Tom Frank from them. I think he resigned.
Tom resigned. I don't know whether it was effective yet at that.
October 7th, I think it was.
Can I have a motion to accept them?
I'll move their approval.
I'll second.
Second by Donna. Anybody find anything? Bruce?
Dave, I wasn't at the meeting, so I'm not voting, and I don't have an opinion on the minutes.
Well, you can read them.
I did read them. They're very interesting. Highly
Anybody else?
and well-written.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes carry. Next order of business is a public hearing for home occupation and the sign.
Mr. Chairman, the
Yes.
applicant failed to replace the sign, so we have a technical error, so he's gonna repost the sign, and this will be on your next agenda on November 18th, your next
Okay.
meeting. So no actions requested of the commission, they just don't open the hearing on this.
Okay, so we will, no action on item 1. Application 1945 of Stephen Mitchell, Mitchell Auto Group, for a special exception pursuant to time. Can you read the?
Okay, application 1945 of Stephen Mitchell, agent, Mitchell Auto Group, Inc., owner, for a special exception pursuant to Article 10, Section C.3.I of the Simsbury zoning regulations for a sign permit for a new sign on the property located at 384 Hot Meadow Street, Assessors Map F14, Block 145, Lot 001 and 2, Zone B2.
Okay, commissioners. Any question? Oh, why don't you explain to us what the sign situation is, Steve?
So where
Name and
you,
address, please, even though we know you.
okay, I'm gonna stand up there, or?
Please.
Sure.
Please, okay,
You're on TV.
there we go. So Stephen Mitchell, owner of Mitchell Auto Group, 384 Hot Meadow Street, Simsbury, Connecticut. As many of you know, we used to have a Saab franchise, and the Saab franchise and the Volvo franchise were in the same building, the service part of it. When the Saab left us, we're still servicing Saabs, but no longer selling Saabs. It's no longer a company. We have a building that that's vacant, and we're trying to keep the business going and filled it with what's called Quick Lane, which is a division of Ford. And Quick Lane is kind of like a Midas. It's a quick lube type of business. So we have that going on. A year ago, I championed a state emissions station down there. So we're a certified state emissions place for Simsbury. And we've got the car wash that we've had down there for many, many years. So we're trying to kind of make that signage prettier and make it look better. And the sign that's in front of you is our attempt to clean it up.
So the emissions, the Connecticut emissions is a new line of business for you, Steve, right? That's what you're saying?
14 months ago, yes.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, but still.
So we have a sign that's kind of propped up on a picnic table that you can see in that top left hand. It was makeshift, and it was never meant to be a permanent sign, but it's you know, I think Artifacts over in Bloomfield did a great job of kind of bringing together all three on one sign there, and that's part of this in step 2 would be the Volvo service, but we'll get through this now. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts on that?
And the reason it's a special exception is?
Yeah.
I can speak to that a little
Yeah.
bit. So the reason why it's a special exception is because all of his sites are combined as a unified site plan, sign plan. If you guys remember, in 2017, he came before you. We did some taking down of signage that was on the building, swapping out with new signage. The Volvo signage was new, new signage on the service where the quick lane is. There's some lettering up there. So as this being a part of an overall site plan approval for a unified sign plan, they're required to go under that special exception requirement that's there. There's actually technically 3 freestanding signs over the course of, it's the Dodge Jeep dealership has one, Volvo has one now, and this one. So under our normal course of approvals, you wouldn't be able to get that, but under the special exception, you guys are able to approve that. So the sign that he's requesting does fit within the parameters of the 32 square feet that we typically allow for our freestanding signs. It is an increase of what's there now, obviously, with the adding the Connecticut emissions program, but still does fit in that overall requirement of 32 square feet. It's also significantly under what he's allowed for the site as a whole, so.
Okay. Other questions of the commission? Does anyone in the public care to speak?
No, Robin answered them. Answered
Are you going to deal with the other sign as a separate item?
Volvo?
Service bay?
The wall sign is part of this application, so again, part of that overall, Mike's got it up on the screen, part of that overall unified sign plan, again, when we look at it from an overall perspective, we're looking at the entire site as a whole from a square footage requirement, and for this building, the addition of this on the building still keeps him under what he's allocated for the building frontage here.
Right?
Right. I thought you did a great job with the explanation.
Yes, thank you. It's
Thank
a lot.
You had to read it twice.
Yeah,
but-
very detailed.
Thank you. And the need for this is just so obvious every day. You know, I'm down there and, you know, people pull in off the street and they really don't know where to go. So they get that deer in headlights and then a car comes behind them. And so this is really kind of a matter of public safety.
Good. Does anyone in the public care to speak to this application?
Actually, I did want to get it clarified for the record that even though the sign itself is translucent, it is not internally lit.
Correct.
So is there light, externally lit, lighting on it? I didn't see.
There isn't right now. There isn't currently.
Okay. Okay, I move to close the public hearing on application 1945.
Second.
Second by Jackie. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 6-0. It's closed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, we don't have it on the agenda.
Mike, is that we should add that?
That's an
It's an
administrative error.
administrative error.
Right, so it should be next if
Error,
we're
so-
going in
Yep.
Should
in
be
order.
old business and with the application.
So can I have a motion to add
Yeah, all right.
consideration of application 1945?
All right, I move that we add the consideration of application 1945 under old business. Or new business.
It's considered old business.
Old business.
Yeah.
Old business.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So now we can consider
Now
that.
consider it, okay.
I'm going to make a motion.
Yeah, go ahead and make a motion.
Make a motion to approve application 19-45 of Stephen Mitchell, agent Mitchell Auto Group, owner for a special exception pursuant to Article 10, Section C1I of the Simsbury zoning regulations for a sign permit for a replacement freestanding sign and new wall sign on the property located at 384 Hot Meadow Street, as shown on the plans entitled Project Mitchell Auto Group, Hot Meadow Street, Simsbury, Connecticut, dated 8/23/19, drawn by P&H, sheets 1 and 23, with the following conditions. 1, an administrative zoning permit is required. 2, no size dimensions are allowed without prior authorization from the zoning commission. And 3, no internal lighting is allowed.
Second?
Is it really P&H?
I think.
It is, but just one clerical error, it should be sheets 1 and 2.
Sorry. I will amend that.
Because I just thought it was artifacts.
Okay, and consider, condition 2, no size dimensions are allowed. What does that really mean?
Yeah, you're looking for alterations, there's no alterations of dimensions.
You can say it that way if you want, yeah.
Sorry, what?
No alterations.
No alterations.
No size
Dimensions.
alterations. Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't
No
say.
size alterations are allowed.
Oh, no
without-
size, okay, I thought it said sign, okay, that's fine. All right,
All right, I still question the P&H.
That's who did the drawing. Yeah.
I don't see it anywhere on the drawing.
Yeah, it's right here, drawn by. Oh, because you're on the tablet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right down here in
Oh,
the
okay,
corner.
all right,
Yeah.
all right, rather than the artifacts, the company that was drawn by,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
so can I have a second?
Second.
Somebody?
Second by Donna,
Anybody?
she's quicker.
I'll
Further
second.
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carry 6-0.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
That was good, we slipped one in and got it done. All right, we got a new application, 1946, of TJ Donahue for McLean Affiliates.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, for the record, I'm T.J. Donahue, I represent McLean. McLean at this time has a site plan amendment before the town to construct a 54-unit residential building and pertinent amenities on the campus, right in the heart of the campus. We have Dave McGill here, our architect. We have Tom Daly from Milo and McBroom here tonight. We've been, and before you, you have a comprehensive staff report and a comprehensive engineering report. We've made all our submissions, we've been bouncing around with this application for a while. And with respect to those reports, we think they're 100% consistent with what we think, and we support all of the recommendations in them. Tonight, we're before you after being before a design review board. We've gone through slides and presentations of the buildings, and to move this thing along, they gave us some marching orders tonight to get a couple of more graphic exhibits and also to bring in building materials for them. My reading of them is that they're very pleased with the building and they just want to go through and finish their work. So we're coming back there November 4th. I want you to know that. Tonight we have two people with us, Tom and David, and I would like them to take as much time as you would like them, but 5 minutes to go through the building diagram and show you what it is, and then to try to get any questions or any issues that you guys may have to review it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry. Good evening. For the record, Tom Daly with Milo and McBroom. As TJ indicated, we're here to present to you a new independent living building located at the McLean campus. It's approximately a 54-unit new building. It's part of this application. Ultimately, we will be demolishing approximately 16 of the existing cottages. So there's a delta increase of less than 54 units. But the proposal is, first of all, we are constructing, let's see if we can get the public view. Let's see this.
that better? Okay, great. So first of all, as part of the application is if you've been to the McLean campus. So to orientate you slightly is we have the existing McLean home. We have the Burkholder building, which is located on our south of the property. And then we have the Hot Meadow Country Club, which is also part of actually McLean. It's all under one single ownership. And then also to the right is we have a large wetland corridor, which will remain as is, and that ultimately is a wetland corridor that goes all the way down to the neighborhood, which I believe is Washburn. But as part of this application, once again, we will be formalizing. If you drive through, there's not that constant loop road throughout the campus that kind of circulates both fire engines and emergency vehicles and then people. So we'll be reconstructing the main access road to make basically a main loop all the way around the property. We'll be locating a small parking lot centrally located, so actually activities at both Burkholder and the new building would be able to use the same parking lot, so we're not adding too many parking spaces. When you come down through here, all the residents will actually have underground parking. So there's a parking garage that you'll come underneath, and that'll be access. You'll come through there and go underneath the building, and all the residents will be able to park there. The parking out in the front and here is really for events and then for visitors. We do have a main drop-off area for visitors and residents, and then we also kind of build it together with the Burkholder. We do have an emergency access drive that the fire marshal required at the rear of the property, but we are gating at both ends, and actually we're trying to incorporate that into being more of a pedestrian way for the residents to kind of walk, loop around. One part of this application is we will be relocating the existing tee box, which is located about here. It basically gets shoved slightly to the north, and then the hole will continue to be played as it does today. One part of the element is we have a large stormwater basin here, and it's not your standard stormwater basin. We have a very robust planting plan because most of those residents in the patio is going to look down across there. So McLean approaches very early on to make sure that we had a very robust and a very attractive wetland planting there. We do have a lot of sidewalk systems throughout here. If you go through McLean, they have that almost a walking path throughout the campus, and we'll be continuing that type of approach through our property. And then we do have the rear loading dock. So right now, Burkholder has a loading dock in here, so the trucks are already coming to here. Instead, the trucks will come through the back and use the loading dock at the rear of the new building. So from your experiences, this is really the resident experience as they come into the building. You as a visitor will be pulling up into this front. We're doing this kind of grand kind of courtyard in the middle, outdoor seating, patio. So it also allows the residents to get out of the space, go in and meet, and this whole area is all lawn on there. As you've been on the McLean campus, a lot of woods, a lot of trees. We've tried to mimic those with a variety of species and really doing a tree-lined road throughout to kind of mimic what's already out there today. But one of the advantages of this project is there's not a big lawn area out there today at McLean, so this does allow them to have events or a tent or some type of bigger family event in these new lawn areas. As TJ indicated, we're going back to design review. Ultimately, the one thing they did ask me to do was kind of build up and make the plantings at the base of this wall a little more robust. So we're going to come back to them with some of those plantings. With that, I'd have Dave McGill come up and walk you through the architecture.
My name is David McGill. I'm with the architecture firm of SFCS out of Roanoke, Virginia, and we've been working with the McLean folks since probably 2003 on different projects over there. This most recent project is a project that we started master planning back in 2007, and we've sort of been working with them to kind of get our arms around what could potentially be done on the campus. We did want to go and add a new independent living component on the campus, and that is the 54-unit building that Tom was describing here. And let's see, Tom, if I look through here, these are all your drawings, right?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pull the PowerPoint up here. and we'll take you on a quick tour of the plans for the building. Tom mentioned before that the building has got parking beneath it, and that was for a couple of reasons. I love this slide. I love this slide because there's enough room for the roads, and there's enough room for the buildings, and the rest of that is woods that take you to the golf course. And when we were asked to do this, when you go on the McLean campus, they have kind of a history, and they take pride in how wooded their campus is. And there's the Burkholder building right there. Here is the existing McLean home. As you kind of come in the main drive through here, you kind of come up and there it is. This is the road that Tom was talking about improving. And when believe it or not, service trucks are actually using what was originally designed as a wide sidewalk to access around the building. So this improvement is just a long time overdue, really necessary. And then the area that we're talking about putting the new building is in this area right through here. So right through there, and then there's the T that Tom was mentioning when we were talking about relocating it. So one of the challenges that we were given was, okay, well, we still want it to feel like McLean, we still want it to look like McLean, but we do need additional independent living other than just this Burkholder building right here. So here is the Burkholder building, and you can see that it is a combination of two-story. By the time you get out onto this leg down here, it's actually a three-story building. And then they have this one-story community center, and they have a little bit of community center functions. There's the loading dock area that Tom was describing coming into the back of the building over here. And then the kitchen and the dining room are also located in the back of the building over here. Again, you kind of see the two-story components working in there. Very common in retirement communities are flush sidewalks flush to the road. Again, it's just for mobility and managing mobility devices. Here you see the garage level coming in on the end of the building, and then there is spaces for each of the residents in the building, plus the required handicap spaces. Mechanical rooms, elevator access comes all the way to the garage at this location here and at this location right here. And that's important for a whole host of reasons. And then you've gone up to the next floor, and on the next floor up here, we're showing the first floor coming in under the porte cochere. We have a large porch on the front of the building. Our living room, our dining venues are right in here. Our kitchen and our service area is back here, multi-purpose room. And then we have kind of a fitness and wellness component that involves exercise room, dance rooms, art studios, and different amenities on this end of the building. So the whole first floor is really a community center floor. Go to the next floor. On this floor here, we begin to see how the apartments are configured. These apartments are ranging roughly from 1,300 square feet up to like 1,700 square feet. They are, except for one, two-bedroom apartments. And we have a variety of apartments. We have one apartment down here that takes full advantage of the end of the building like this. We have apartments that turn the corner on the outside 45. And then we've got apartments that are configured throughout the middle area through here. Go to the next. Next floor up, it's really kind of rinse and repeat from the floor below. And then go to the next floor. And then on this floor right here, we've stepped the building down as it approaches the Burkholder building. So it's just not quite so massive as it kind of comes up to the Burkholder building here. So we stepped that down, but still provided access to the elevators and the stairs here. Our elevations begin just to show you, these are very block elevations, begin to show you the configuration of the building. So that front porte cochere is right there, and you're looking at the buildings on the left and on the right. We have set this area up right here for future expansion, which would include a pool. So that's really all that little piece right there is for. And then now you're seeing the difference. On the front side of the building, we're at this level here, but as you come through the building, we've actually dropped. By the time you get all the way through the front door to the terrace on the back of the building, you're going to see that it's dropped a floor there. And that's important because how do we get that fire lane around here? Tom's firm has done a remarkable job of doing the engineering to get the fire lane to come around the back of the building. How do we access the loading dock at 2 levels, a lower loading dock and an upper loading dock? And then go to the next image. I think it'll show that even more. So here's our portico share here on the front of the building. You can see it stepping down as you go towards the back. There's the multi-purpose room right there. And then this shows how that loading dock is working over on this end of the building, how the grade is just sort of falling off as you come around back here. And because the wetlands are right there, we couldn't push dirt into the wetlands area to raise the road up. So we rode the road down to allow us to stay out of that wetlands area. And that left us with this terrace on the back of the building right here. So there's your dining venue all through here. There's your living room. You have a terrace with an extension roof over top of it. And then you have the multi-purpose room right here. So the multi-purpose room, the dining venues, the living room, all have this view. The little private dining area here all have this view out towards the back and towards the golf course. So our front view, here's our portico share, our porch on the front like this. We've got different elements, and we've tried to play with different sort of color configurations on here. We're mixing some of the roof lines up a little bit. This is where we're stepping the building down as it approaches the Burkholder building. So on this whole first floor area, you've got your community center functions. We have 2 stories of apartments here, and then over the rest of the building, we have 3 stories of apartments. This shows the back of the building from the golf course side, and you're seeing that terrace area that's right through here, that little extension of the dining room coming out here. This is all dining in here and here. Your kitchen area, your loading dock area is over here, and then this is the corridor that takes you back to the multi-purpose room, which is right here. On this side of the building, we've got the open balcony rails. On the other side of the building, just for the privacy of the residents, since it was sort of the front door, we've got a little more privacy with a semi-closed balcony rail, so people just aren't looking straight up at the balconies like that. And then this shows how we're connecting to the Burkholder. Again, we sort of step down, and then we just have a simple 1-story connection coming back into the Burkholder here. But the idea is that if you've been to McLean, you've noticed that their community center space right now is fairly limited. It does serve the residents in the building relatively well, but the idea of locating the community center on this level and bringing the connector in is that this isn't just for the new residents, but the community center functions that are on this building are for the whole campus. They're certainly for the residents in Burkholder, and then also the residents that might be coming from the cottage community. This is a view from the terrace on the back. You can see the little roof overhang here. There's that little extension of the dining area coming out there, and then there's the view. There's Tom's stormwater management pond right through there, and it's not really a pond, it's actually it's just a wonderfully landscaped. Stormwater management has come a long way since the 70s. I'm just going to leave it at that. And then this is just looking right down the tee, the golf course right there. And I think that was it.
You're coming back
Yes.
with the materials?
Yes.
Okay, and the colors and things like that? Yes.
Now, could you go back that one? You have the guy walking there. It looks like a sidewalk in this, but isn't that the access road?
It is, but our goal is we're actually going to gate that access road on both ends. So that the fire department has access to everything, but we want to make it, we romantically call it a promenade, you know where I'm going with this, but one of the best things we can do for these residents is to encourage walking. Walking it's good for your health. So, rather than just put a fire lane back there, let's try to frame it as a resident amenity that actually connects all the way around the building, that ties into the other walking trails on the campus.
So it's not a driveway, it's not,
Well, it is a driveway for the
It's, yeah, for emergency vehicles.
Yeah.
Emergency
It's not a driveway.
And I did sit in a design review where they questioned the stairs that goes down from this patio to the back. You know, and they said should have a break in it, and it looks like you didn't address that.
The break in the stairs, yes, there is a break in the stairs.
Is there?
Yeah, now, yeah, because you can't go but so far before you have to have a
Yeah, right
landing
there,
in a set of stairs there. So there is a landing in there, yes.
Okay, yeah, because it's not obvious from that picture. It looks like a
Yeah,
straight shot down.
right, no, it's not. It's not obvious at all.
And the same with the one that's, of course, in the back of it. There's two
Here,
of them, yeah.
here's the other one there,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're telling me there is a break in there?
I believe there is. Can we go back to the plan and I'll tell you? What the limiting factor is I can't go over so many steps before I have to have a break.
Right, yeah.
And let's see if I've crossed that threshold. So. Oh, you're fine. I don't know if that'll show on your landscape drawings. I think it's more on the architecturals. Yeah. Okay, so there is no break there. You are correct. Which means that by code, it's not required.
Okay.
Otherwise, we would put it in.
Well, there's code and there's convenience.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the additional changes that Design Review Board alerted us to and has is that there is going to be an elevator access down to the lawn through the elevators on the first floor down through the garage.
Right there in the building, there's a pair of elevators, and then there's also a set of doors right there. Because they were concerned that, you know, would a resident have access to the lawn? If you're up on the terrace and you see somebody doing something on the lawn, that looks like that's fun, you want to do it too. As a matter of fact, one of the ladies said, I still want to put my feet in the grass. Who doesn't? You know, so let's say that, you know, so by having the elevator access here, we also have a door here which does not show in the rendering, which was my big mistake. So now what we've got to do, they suggested, okay, well now what we want you to do is we want you to tie this sidewalk into this sidewalk,
Yeah.
so all of that becomes somewhat unified from a landscaping point of view. A good suggestion.
So is it that difficult to actually just put a landing in that? I mean, is it?
It's 3 extra feet.
It wouldn't be that difficult to put a landing in there. The reason for doing it the way we did it was that it fully complied with the code. So what you're saying is that is there a benefit to doing more?
Yeah, breaking it up somehow. And I don't know how many steps that was. It looks like a lot.
At the 11 feet that we're going, it's probably like 18 steps.
So the elevators will go from the parking all the way up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all on both ends.
And now and additionally to the
Here and
lawn?
here.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, and so you have access to the front of the building. You know, like if you're coming over from Burkholder, you're going to be on grade. If you're coming out of your apartment, you have elevator access going down here and here, of course, to this side of the building, which is the community center floor of the building. But if you want to go all the way to the garage, and everybody will, then we've got elevator access here and elevator access here that goes all the way to the garage.
What is the construction plan schedule?
What is the construction plan schedule? You mean what is the time schedule?
Yeah.
Time schedule is, they would like to begin in the spring of next year.
Okay, so you've got time to go to design review.
We're not gonna let any moss grow under our feet. They set a date, 2 weeks from now, we'll be back.
Okay.
Tell me something, the slide that was in front of the thank you slide
Yeah.
has that view across the deck looking out that has some very intriguing, and attractive views of the golf course. That's not the area of the golf course that's going to be relocated.
Actually, let's go back
Somewhere
to
else.
that image and we can talk through that. Okay, so, yeah, as you're sort of looking here, that T comes right up into right there right now. And what we're talking about doing is pulling that T around this way. Now, whether or not I was artistic enough to get that in the exact location. I don't know, because I wasn't really that concerned about the T in this. In this one, I was more concerned about getting Tom's detention basin in here.
So you're gonna move it closer to the deck.
But it's
Yeah, it'll appear a little closer.
The relocation of the tee box, tell me if I'm wrong. The relocation point, the new location, the tee box, is closer to the diners right there in that picture than it is now.
Yes.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
So,
The dining area is here.
yeah, today it's, sorry,
Oh, I know.
today,
Oh,
if this is the
you
dining,
don't like-
I don't think I'll.
today the tee boxes are here, we're sliding them there. So you're right, the line going across there, and there's another hole here, so these people will be looking right out there.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
Yes, you're right on.
Okay, more questions on the commission? Thank you, we'll look forward to having you come back.
Oh, that's Mike's.
Okay, Mike,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good night, thank you.
okay, correspondence? No, regulations update?
I'm hoping to have a complete draft put together and sent out to the commission members in the next week and a half. Of all of our updates we did and changes.
Okay. And the next is informal discussion of 437 Hop Meadow Street. That's the pad in front of Powder Forest.
Good evening, I'm Gus Jesminski from Ensign Bickford Realty. You'll remember 2015, we had a PAD approval on this site, which is, here's Route 10. This is Powder Forest Drive, and we did 3 sites, and this is some apartments and some townhomes by Landworks property. They're actually finishing up the townhomes now. Apartments are all done. We sold this piece to Simsbury, and they pretty much finished their Bloomfield piece, their expansion there, so they're starting to work on this. And we're in here tonight to talk about Site 3, which is the site on the corner. We're here for a couple things. So when we originally did the PAD, this plan here shows commercial use on the thing. We showed initially, as part of the PAD, 5 different options of things we could do there. Office buildings, hotels, different layouts of commercial spaces. This one looked the best, so we went with that, but there was a variety of different options that we could do there. Also, I'm working on right at the moment, we're doing separately, it's a separate application, an earth excavation permit, and Simsbury's managing that for us. And just recently, they sold the rest of the material, so if you saw a little activity there, they cut the edge of the grass off, that's pretty much done, and they piled up some sand, and that'll be gone in the next couple of weeks. So we're here tonight to talk about on this piece. We have an opportunity in front of us, and we need some direction from the commission on technical pieces. One of the layouts that we gave you was a 120-room hotel with we showed on one of the plans, 4,200 square foot restaurant and another 16,000 square foot commercial building on the site. So what we have in front of us, we've been approached by a boutique hotel who's interested in the site, but they're interested in installing 200 rooms and some sort of a restaurant. And they haven't done their marketing plan, so they don't really know what amenities they're going to do on the first floor and how the restaurant piece will shake out, whether it'll be 3,000, 4,000, 6,000. We haven't figured that restaurant piece out. And whether it'll be attached or a separate building. But technically, the way this works is what we're looking for, some direction from the commission on, is a 200-room hotel with a restaurant piece consistent with the PAD that we had approved, which included a 120-room hotel with a 4,000 square foot restaurant site and a commercial piece. Is that consistent? Because what we need is, that will give us a plan forward to, of how we go forward. If it's consistent, we come in with a site plan. If it's not, then we need to go back to the public hearing process. And we're just trying to get some concept of, is it consistent with the PAD? We have the architect for the applicant here, and he'll talk a little bit more about their program, but it's a technical piece that we're looking for tonight. We're just here informally. We actually met with Mike last week, and he said, well, hey, why don't you just come in and meet with the commission and discuss this informally.
Well, bear in mind that some of us weren't here in 2015, so this
Right.
is new territory.
Yep.
But as you go forward, could you give us some sense of how big the building was that was in that
Yeah,
PAD
well-
drawing, and how big the might be now at 200 rooms?
Okay, so concept number, my name is Todd Clark from Blue Moon Design out of Terrible. And if you look at alternative concept number 2, that's basically what was proposed early on. Do you have that? Okay. So basically, there's approximately 120 rooms of a hotel towards the upper part of the site, which would be up here. And then, according to this, there was a retail space that was located down in this area, and then there was going to be a small restaurant located in this area. So what we're proposing as a preliminary design would be basically this as, that's okay, basically the hotel piece would wrap around. There'd be a nice entryway into the site from here, tree-lined entryway. There would be also, we're proposing the restaurant end to be right here. So if you want to show the other one, that's great. Thank you. So trying to do a traditional form with traditional materials, brick and stone. So try to make an elegant building, balustrade, traditional materials with a traditional form, and then say a restaurant, sort of like a carriage house look that would be closer to the road. And also try to put the hotel section up on the hill, make it a little more grand, a little more elegant, and then basically try to step the building down as I've done here, where there would be rooms tucked under the roof, and then basically the restaurant would be here. So,
With no other space?
What?
No other space
Nope.
in this design?
No. As far as uses, you know.
Yep.
I mean, there'll be the service end of the hotel and all that sort of stuff. This would be a road that goes around back to the loading area and things like that. But that's all so preliminary. I was just basically blocking out a building, giving it a flavor, and then sort of trying to figure out all the parking that this building would need. So that's basically the site plan that you've been given, and this is the rendering portion of that.
I think the question that we have to answer is whether a site plan approval, something like this, is okay, or whether we would like to see a revision of the master plan, which would require us to revisit and have a public hearing on the master plan. So, my opinion, looking at this is an interesting design, but I think it's a big change. And I would lean toward a master plan revision. But we have 6 members here.
And the total square footage, is it that different than because we don't have it for the 120 rooms?
Well, I think if you took the 16,000 retail up front and added it to the hotel, we're more or less just swapping square footage from the retail space up front back to the hotel.
It all goes back to parking.
Yeah.
That's what limits the site.
Right.
Well, I see this, alternative number 2 describes the PAD as a 3-floor hotel with 120 rooms. the rendering is 4 stories in the center section.
Right.
Does that explain the 80-room differential? It's that center section? the fourth
Pretty
floor?
much, yeah.
Oh.
We're swapping the square footage off. Now, I haven't done a hard plan to say, well, how many square feet does 200 rooms take up? I mean, it's gonna be the parking, the site, and all that stuff that would tell us exactly how many rooms we have. We're using 200 as a ballpark number.
Where'd you get that figure from?
Well,
Where'd you get that figure from?
the 200?
Yeah.
Well, just speaking to my client and stuff like that, he said, this would work at around 200 rooms.
Oh, okay.
Gus just said it's related to parking. Didn't you say that?
The site plan layout and the amount of rooms you can get on it, it really goes back to how many parking spaces can you put on the site. So whether it's commercial or hotel rooms, you still need the parking, which all are about the same.
Donna? Comments?
Not that haven't been brought up.
Yeah, so I'm not sure there's that big a difference from the master
Yeah.
plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with Kevin. I don't see it as, although I don't know how much work is involved in a revisit to a PAD. I haven't sat in on one of those yet, but I don't think it's that big of a change. It was in the suggested scenarios. And 120 beds, and as you point out, the space is configured differently in that layout, but, there's 20,000 square feet here that's not really the hotel. You push all that together. And the primary business is still the hotel. It's a hotel. It's not really just a restaurant. So I guess I'm done. I think it falls within the scope of the master plan that was approved in 2015, as I understand it.
Can you weigh in, Mike, a little bit?
Well, I mean, if you look at it from a use perspective, kind of following on Bruce's comments, the use was established, at least in the sense of, here's an option.
Sure.
The reason why I asked the gentleman to come here tonight was the fact that there were so many different options for this pad. And when EB went, when Gus was before you back in 2014?
Yeah.
15, they really didn't have an idea. So the commission pointed to that sheet that's filed in land records as LS or LA1. It's the first sheet of the master plan that I gave you. It's saying, well, you got to show us something, but we understand we want to work with you. So the flexibility was kind of given there that something was in land. The only other comment I had was just the bed count, a change from the proposal, but knowing that you're swapping commercial space for potential more bed space. I mean, in the end, is it the same density as development is what was shown on concept 2? Yeah, it seems pretty consistent. So, but I didn't want to say that it was consistent without getting a blessing from the commission on it, because it is a change from what was seen, and it's been a long time. I mean,
Sure.
how many were on the commission when this was approved?
Yeah, I mean, that was,
Kevin?
That was a design review, maybe.
yeah. But
Yeah.
my concern is that the PAD has ended up in several unintended consequences in use, and I don't think it would hurt to revisit the master plan to be sure that we're getting something that the community likes. It's a little more work for them, but that's just my opinion. We've got two, at least, who are...
But I would just mention, too, that the notion of the master plan and identifying those scenarios is so that a potential investor doesn't have to go back through the process. They know that scenario is available to them.
Right.
They don't have to go back to a public hearing and take their chances on a change of something in the environment. I mean, I don't know.
Because one of the alternatives here is a 90,000 square foot office building. So I don't even sure that we're there. Adding these up, between all the different alternatives, I don't know that we're exceeding what was in the original master plan for the site.
I also would speak to the 4,000 square foot building that we've seen not filled. And I don't know if that's a concern, but I think that would be a concern. 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 I think that wo right, in other PADs.
Yes.
Another commercial.
Right.
But that's a tough one, and we know that.
Kevin?
Questions?
Pardon?
I have no questions.
No, we asked you for your opinion.
I
He has no
agree with you.
opinion.
A lot of us, this is the first time through for this, it would probably be helpful. But is it fair to them to bring them back through all this process again?
So what does that entail?
Public hearing process similar to the submission, meaning that the regs outline certain supporting documentation, like market studies, a lot of stuff that's provided up front. It's a longer process because it's similar to a zone change. Referrals required to the Planning Commission and also to the Conservation Commission. So you're looking at like a public hearing process minimum with notifications without any complications, a maybe 60-day process versus if you find that it's consistent with the, on concept, that it's consistent with the current planned area development pad for this master plan for this site, you're talking about a site plan amendment, which is an administrative process. They have to go to the Conservation Commission, there will be activities within 100 feet, but just that whole process becomes a shorter procedure. And also the difference obviously is that the master plan update, public hearings are required. So you go through that, and two, they'd have to come back, should that master plan changes be approved, they have to come back for a site plan amendment after, or site plan approval, after that master plan was approved through the public hearing process.
The tough thing that is,
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
it's been 5 years since we have visited this, that's the tough thing, you know?
We still have to approve the site plan, and we
We
could.
still have to approve the site plan, we still have to go through the normal process of the wetlands, working with the commissions, working with the town, and getting all the approvals. It's not like this is a...
Well, so we don't have a public hearing, and then the point is that if there was a public hearing, neighbors and people who have other interests and concerns about the neighborhood would be able to weigh in. On the other hand, we went through that, and we've got two, I don't know where you are, Donna.
I think we have so many choices that have been approved already that
So you're in favor of telling them the site
I
plan
think
is
it's
in order?
pretty close to.
So we got it close to a
having all those
tie,
options.
Well, I'd be in favor of it because
favor of,
not having them come back.
I think, a site plan.
Because it does fit the proposed concepts and because we already know one of the things
Options.
is not a viable option,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, site plan it is. So we have a non-vote, but you got it. Okay, the next informal discussion is 385 and 389 West Mountain Road.
Good evening, I'm Tom Beneke. I'm an attorney with a practice here in Simsbury. I'm also a town resident, and I'm here seeking some feedback from you folks. I represent two homeowners.
Swing it.
Paul Flynn, who's a trustee, who owns 389 West Mountain Road, and Dan Burke, who's the executor of his mother's estate. The house is still in the estate of his mother. That's 385 West Mountain Road. I had 7 schematics for you folks if I left in my office.
We
Off to a
can
bad
share.
start. But I have one larger one if you want to.
Sure, we can pass it.
So it's 2 lots that are together. And let me start with the good news. One of these lots is non-conforming, and reading the intent and purpose of the regulations, which is to eliminate non-conforming properties, The plan would be to eliminate this nonconformity, so that's the good news. What I'm looking for in talking with Mr. Glidden is some indication that we can do rear lots to these two properties by adding approximately 90 feet of frontage to the non-conforming piece. So that implicates Section 8 of the Development of Rear Lots section. And we have, according to the regulation here, all the following conditions have to apply and be met to get a rear lot approved. And it's really A and B that are at issue here.
I'm sorry. There's two rear lots?
What each property wants to do a rear lot.
Okay.
So 385 can do it because it has 300 feet of frontage.
Okay.
The other one doesn't.
So these are existing properties that are very long and narrow, and,
Yes.
and you're
Well,
gonna,
actually, one's very wide.
well, I was gonna say, I misstated, they're not necessarily narrow, but you're basically taking deep lots and cutting each one in half and then trying to
Right.
create an access
Correct.
for
Okay,
each one.
Thank you. I was trying to figure it out. Yep.
Because the abutting
Can we
lots,
get a bigger perspective as to where this falls on that road?
it's the last house
Their woods
before Hoffman's.
to Route 44, I think, Albany.
It's down by Hoffman's.
Yeah, it's down there.
Oh, okay.
I think that, the one is the last house before Hoffman's property in their, their inventory parking and all that, and the,
And they would stay residential,
Yes,
two front and two rear lots?
yes,
And the fronts would be giving just access easements or
Yeah.
right-of-ways?
correct.
Okay.
That's what that,
Shared
that's what this is, I
shared
presume.
access
Yep.
to the back.
Yep.
and then,
But then that cuts the frontage of this lot to
200,
under 300, which,
correct.
Oh, gotcha.
So in order to get the, we need to make the other lot conforming, so we need to take some footage from the
Yeah.
from the conforming lot and add it to it.
so the conforming lot
This one
becomes
have-
non-conforming?
that's 300
No,
foot?
It will remain conforming.
still
It has 300 feet of frontage. It can give 90 to the other one. That makes them both.
So this is, I should have, I wasn't listening that closely in the beginning. These are our 40,
Correct.
okay.
What is the
And
property
all
line?
four of them end up at least
What's the property line
40,000 square feet.
That's correct.
Oh, what's the property behind it?
what's the property that's,
Is that the Hoffman's property? Does it
Yes.
back up to Hoffman's?
Hoffman Auto Group is to the south,
what's to the west?
to the south.
It's a business zone.
What's to the west?
There's a property that,
Developer Mark
Greenberg.
Greenberg from Litchfield,
Bought it.
he's been in here, right?
yes, that's the property that they're
No.
considering making commercial?
No, you're pointing at the wrong spot. Greenberg's property is parallel to West Mountain Road.
They're
Correct.
saying this is it.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
That's okay.
You're right, that's Greenberg's property.
Actually, I have the maps up right now. This is the area that's to the west of the subject parcels. That was the Mark Greenberg property that's been rezoned to business.
Yeah.
Right here is the Hoffman Auto Group. And we're looking at 385.
Yep.
And let's zoom in here, I apologize.
See,
The numbers will ring.
Yeah, that's the two of them,
Dot.
So,
Michael.
so this is 385 right here. This is 389. You can
Right.
see there, this one's a larger lot here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the wedge that does not conform. And I apologize, let me close the,
Donna, it's gonna be 3 acres after.
Yeah.
That would be 3 and the other one would be 2. So they're big, yeah, they're big lots.
Yeah, but there's a whole lot of unbuildable area in the back there, isn't there? In the west side?
There's an elevation issue.
I mean, look at the,
Oh, is that ledge?
It may
look
not
at
be
the,
ledge, but it's
Yeah,
rising.
what's the brown on the map there?
if the commission, the reason why they're here tonight, as Tom kind of said, they want to combine lots, which no one has tried doing this before. Your regs say you have to meet the frontage in order to get a rear lot. So they want to know if this is okay before they prepare an application for the 2 rear lots for these 2 properties. And the reason why, the rear lots in the back, yes, there's some topography issues that they'll have to deal with, but there are design standards in your existing rear lot regs that they will have to conform to. So they'll have to demonstrate they can get a working septic system back there a well, they will have to identify areas of non-buildable area, demonstrate a square that's outlined in the existing zoning regulations. So I mean, there's
Yeah,
still...
but if that's if they hurry. If they don't hurry, there's new regulations coming on rear lots, right?
No, you guys didn't change them.
You didn't change them.
We didn't change them.
No, you got your rear lots
I
to
wasn't
stay in
paying
place.
close attention to that meeting.
That's why we're here.
So you combine the lots before you subdivide them in a
Yes.
conforming manner?
That's the
That's
issue at
the
play.
issue.
So you guys have the December 1969 date in there. It says they have to be in the same lot configuration from that magical date in order to get rear lots. So by combining them.
Right.
So by the magic date,
Yeah.
they conform to the magic date. What they don't conform to, at least the parcel to the south, is the meeting the minimum frontage requirement for the zoning district it's located in. It was a conforming lot whenever it was created, just
Right.
not under current regulations.
But
So then, that's where the combination and then
And
realignment
realigning, right.
comes into play for this.
are there not rear lots already a little bit further north?
Definitely keeps the character of the neighborhood.
And then on
There's
the,
about
There's
a,
several.
the other side of West Mountain, I know there's rear lots over there too.
I think we counted, what is it?
North of there, there's
11
several.
with it?
Yeah.
And the property line
Within
is
the,
forward.
excuse me, within, I'm Betty Frigg now, how you doing? Within sight line of 385, to the north and the east, there are 9, either 9 or 10 rear lots.
Yep.
Within a couple hundred yards.
Yeah.
Do they have houses on them?
They're all like that, the whole neighborhood is like
Yeah,
that.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're developed.
Yep.
They all have houses.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the issue is that you could certainly have one without any issue. Is that correct? To have two, I don't understand the rationale.
There'll be one on each of the addresses, not two on each one, just, there'll be one on 385 and one on 389, I think. One rear lot is what we're asking for.
So is the access going to be by easement or by a
No, it's gonna belong to the
transfer?
property.
Okay.
Just to make it more marketable, right?
Correct.
I don't really
It helps
know.
No, he asked why.
It helps both property owners maximize the use of their property. You eliminate a non-conforming property, which is the absolute goal of the zoning regulations, and it keeps with the character of the neighborhood. So you have, right now, you have a house with 127 feet of frontage. We're gonna make that 200. That's what you want to see in that zone. And then we can develop the rear lots on each one.
Oh, boy.
So I'm still totally confused. There's two properties, and you're proposing to transfer some of one property to the other?
Correct, 90 feet, approximately 90 feet of frontage, and it could run all the way back to the
Okay.
rear.
Okay,
It's a
now-
pie-shaped
now-
piece or it's a parallel?
And then there'll be
Basic rectangle.
3 building lots when we're done?
4.
There'll be
This one,
2
you're not
existing
showing one
houses
on
and a rear lot on each one.
So they get a
4
lot
lots
here and a
total.
lot here,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but there's
House and a
they're not
house.
showing 4 houses on this picture.
but
No.
after, okay, but as, well, they could have.
No, the square, you'll see the squares on the rear lots, that's where the.
Yeah, but there's no,
There's a house here.
oh, it doesn't show.
Is there a house on 389?
Yes.
Okay, it's not shown on the map. Now, the frontage, if you transfer 90 feet, that makes this have a frontage adequate to have a rear lot,
200 will remain, yes.
right? Is that correct, the staff?
That's correct.
And the other one already has the space, so,
Right.
And we'll still have the space.
so how do we magically transfer 90 feet?
You have to combine them.
That's his job.
Well, yeah, we would.
No,
Surveyor and lawyer.
in our zoning regs,
We
what
do a
do-
lot line revision map to put the 90 feet
Yeah,
on
the
there.
issue isn't how they do that. They can just do they could do a
Legal.
lot line revision tomorrow. The
Right.
question is about the way the rear lots are worded in your regs. It says that the lots, if you're gonna propose a rear lot, that lot, the lot you're gonna take the lot out of,
Has to conform
has
to
to
the frontage.
conform to the frontage and has to be unchanged from 1969. So once you take 90 feet from lot, whatever, 385,
385.
and you give it to 389, you've now changed the configuration
For both.
from 1969 for both.
But you're making them both legal rear lots.
True,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
you have to look at the wording in your regs, and
I
that's why
understand.
it's here. That's not how.
I understand, I was just following it through.
Yeah.
It's a little ambiguous, really.
It's a lawyer's dream, actually. It says, 8A says, the lot of record in its current dimensions has existed prior to December 1, 1969. That's true for both these lots. B says the lot of record has met all of the frontage and yard requirements in the applicable zone in existence at the time of the creation of the new lot. I'm gonna create the new lot, and at the time I create the new lot, this lawyer says I'll have adequate frontage because I'm gonna do a lot line revision. So I don't make the jump from A to B and say they both read the same. One definitely says December 1, 1969. The other one says at the time I create the second lot, I've gotta be in compliance, and I'm going to be in compliance.
Correct.
So I don't see the big issue, but Michael was kind enough to say you may want to come here before your client invests money, so that's
That's
fine.
fair.
We didn't want to go down the road, be in the middle of a public hearing and having this discussion.
Right.
Yeah, but my concern actually on this one is, where we had two people that didn't like the future development behind this, now we're gonna have four houses that won't like it.
I don't understand.
Well, the people that were here now didn't like this,
Yes?
and now, there was only two of them before, and now we're gonna have four of them that don't like
Oh, that
what's
don't
gonna
like
happen.
that, but that's
Buy
done.
the property.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
all
so they
sold
need-
already, trust me.
That's done.
Oh,
Fine.
okay.
So they know what's gonna happen
I
behind
know
them?
what's gonna happen.
It's still got the steep slope.
Is it
Yeah,
quite
I
a
mean,
buffer?
they've got.
Yeah, but it's gonna be
Yeah.
over them, which is even worse.
It's gonna be up, yeah, okay.
So
They gotta sell it, that's their
Yeah,
problem.
apparently they already have.
what paragraph were you,
Taxpayers to town?
Yeah.
It's already
paragraph were you
sold.
quoting? The language you were just reading, where is that?
Continue regs.
Yeah, I got the
My
regs,
property
I just need the
manager.
paragraph number. Oh, okay.
Built in the rear lots.
62.
And we haven't asked the town attorney of what his opinion is.
You don't need to talk about it.
Just so we're the regs.
Rear lot. It's right here. We just went over that in our meeting.
And what did we
Well,
decide
it's
about
on the rear lot,
1959, or 1960?
We were leaving that and we were not making a change.
Right, you guys are not proposing changing that.
Do we know where it came from?
It was an arbitrary
Yeah.
date by the planning commission, and this was adopted in the 80s.
Yeah,
And I
no.
went through all the meeting minutes.
They went back.
Yeah.
Okay, so there
That's
isn't,
won the World Series, so there was a certain amount of euphoria.
Everyone was
Creation
giddy.
of the new lot is when we act on it. or when
Right.
the-
I totally go with
I don't know
that.
if you remember that, but,
That's what was intended.
Yeah,
right? Right.
I don't know, but you can just read it. I think it's fine.
what do you think?
I think it's fine. I don't
If
have
they
a
wanna
problem
do
with
it, they
Yeah,
can sell the properties.
yeah. I think that that does
I think
provide
it's-
that, the
can
question
read
of
it
when
that
it
way.
meets
Yeah,
is at the time the new lot is created, which is sometime in 2019 or 2020, not 1970 something or,
I think what the intent is you don't want one of these old lots to be changed. Well, you don't want to change a lot that's very young to fix it. So if it's an old lot, it's already been regulated out of its existing use. So B allows for that flexibility, I think.
yes, I think that's
Yeah,
what
I
was
think that's-
intended.
Kevin?
I'm still reading this one. My lawyer had a, where's Melissa?
Melissa didn't come tonight. But she's a family lawyer, so.
Oh, she told me her early career was all about real estate law, that's all she did.
New York State.
that's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Always a lawyer.
That's exactly, that's what he's trying to do. And then he's gonna try to sell it too. Will that be hooked up to water and sewer?
What, septic and well?
Something wrong, yeah.
It is?
Very good, it's perfect soil for septic.
Okay.
It's
Just-
all like septic sand, actually.
I don't think anybody wants to buy these, but
No, it's very good soil.
Okay.
And I investigated the wells in the whole area, and they're all good wells. They're not that deep either, really. That part of Simsbury has the best well water.
Comments?
It seems like they're making something that does not conform into something that does conform.
Yeah, I agree. Bruce agrees.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that, and I think the regulation supports what they intend to do, clearly.
Donna?
I agree.
Donna does too. So it's Kevin.
Well, I could go with
Back your
it.
notes.
You what?
I could go along with it, I guess.
He can go along with it if we twist his arm.
That's the benefit of being last. Let's go.
Okay,
Get some
Does that help you?
Yes.
Just a point of information, how far over the back property, existing rear property lines is the town line?
Over,
Oh, it's very close. It's,
I know it's close, is it 100 feet or,
where the town line is?
yeah, trying to figure out where Canton starts.
Michael, can you?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
It's like right in there.
From right.
Oh,
Oops, meters. You want to do this conversion quick?
that's right on the ridge there, I think, isn't it?
Looks like it.
Yeah.
I love the GIS. Unfortunately, I'm on meters, it's 141.
Times 3, so it's about 450 feet, give or
How
take.
far, Mike?
141.27 meters.
oh, it's a long ways.
450.
Yeah, it's about 450.
It's a long
Okay.
ways. Kevin, have you prepared a motion?
He's still reading.
This is not a motion. But I love that you put Kevin on the spot.
No, to adjourn.
Oh, very good.
Oh, you're kicking me out.
Even better.
Yep, it's game time.
Are we there?
Thanks, Tom.
That's it.
I moved and we adjourned.
I'll second.
Second by
Thanks.
Donna.
Good night.
Good night.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you. It's game time.
It's game.